Pokemon Draft League is one of the best ways to play competitive Pokemon. It's a format that incentivizes creativity and thinking outside the box, where you will often see niche applications for lower tier Pokemon. But that's the problem. In a format where Pokemon such as Dragapult, Iron Valiant, Darkrai, just to name a few, are seen as the big threats, these low tier Pokemon are often fulfilling a supporting character role and are rarely seen as the main piece of a draft. But what if there were a draft league where all of these top tier Pokemon are banned and the low tier Pokemon get their chance to shine? Well, that's what we are going to be doing for the reboot of the P4G. Huge thank you to the low tier GOAT Kyle for inviting me to participate in this incredible season. I am super excited to play in a format where I don't have to worry about Gen 9's insane power creep. Before we get started, I am JRicky, coach of the Gigaton Hammers, and if you happen to be new around here, welcome in and I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. Goal is to hit 500 subscribers before my birthday next month. Alright, so getting into what really matters. With all the top tier Pokemon banned, the best Pokemon in the format are things like Crocodile, Heracross, and Raikou, just to give you guys a reference as to what is the bar here. We ended up getting the 10th pick out of the 14 coaches, which is a pretty bad spot, but truth be told, I was okay with any of the tier 1s. Worth mentioning that this is a tier draft instead of a points draft, so we are really going super throwback for the reboot of the P4G. Once it got to my pick, I wanted to pick up a Pokemon that had a decent amount of versatility because that is what I enjoy using the most. I could have gone for something like Raikou, Entei, or Staraptor, but those felt a little bit too one-dimensional for me, so I ended up picking Hisuian Goodra instead. Hisuian Goodra has an incredible typing in Dragon and Steel and a stat distribution that really allows it to do a multitude of things. Of course, its immense special defense stat jumps out first. 150 base special defense means it's going to be very difficult to OHKO Goodra with a special attack, especially because it also has the Shell Armor ability, meaning it cannot be crit, which is fantastic for setup sets. Sap Sipper and Gooey are also great abilities that will definitely have its uses. Its vast move pool adds to this versatility as it can go physically or specially offensive, as well as set up with Acid Armor or Curse to then abuse Body Press. I think Hisuian Goodra is a great round 1 pick because it's a Pokemon that can be tailored to any matchup, and realistically, you do want your round 1 pick to be able to come every game. For our round 2 pick, I wanted to pick up some good, reliable speed, considering a lot of the good fast Pokemon have been banned. Because a lot of the good steel type Pokemon were banned as well, flying types will be some of the most threatening Pokemon in the format, so we ended up picking Tornadus Incarnate. Tornadus boasts a 111 speed stat, which is pretty good in this format. It's also a Pokemon that has quite a lot of versatility to it. It can be an out-and-out special breaker with good moves such as Hurricane, Heat Wave, Sludge Wave, Psychic, Focus Blast, but it can also set up and be a threat that way. It has access to both Nasty Plot and Agility, so that's always something to keep in mind. A personal favorite set of mine is actually a Resto Chesto set with Bulk Up and Acrobatics, and I will definitely be running that set at least once this season. If need be, Tornadus can also be a good support option with Knockoff, Tailwind, and Taunt in its arsenal. Again, I love versatile Pokemon, and with speed being so important in the lower tier format, I felt like it was a perfect fit. Now is a good time to mention that these picks are being presented not in the order of when they were picked, but by their tier. Hisuian Goodra and Tornadus Incarnate were my round 1 and round 2 pick, but my round 3 pick was not Crawdon, so keep that in mind because some things might look out of place, but I promise it ties together in the end. When was the last time you saw Crawdon drafted? I, for one, cannot remember the last time I've seen someone use it. Believe it or not, that was actually one of the reasons why I decided to pick it up. It hits ridiculously hard with its base 120 attack stat coupled with its adaptability ability. Water and Dark are a great stab combination, so being able to spam stab knockoffs just sounds terrifying. It also recently got access to Close Combat, which is very neat. It does have setup options in Dragon Dance, but it might be too slow to abuse it. However, Swords Dance is a real threat due to Crawdon also having access to Aqua Jet, which is a great priority option. Biggest gap in Crawdon's game really is its speed stat of 55, but we might be looking to take advantage of that with Trick Room setters later down the line. Speaking of Trick Room setters, Mesprit is the next addition to our roster. I love me some Mesprit, and I think it's a great pickup in tier 3. It's truly capable of doing a plethora of different things. It can set up Trick Room for Crawdon, it's capable of disruption with Knockoff, Thunder Wave, Trick, Encore, it can set up hazards, it can set up with Calm Mind or Nasty Plot and become a threat, dual screens for support, and it even has Pain Split for some form of recovery. One of my all-time favorite Pokemon in Draft League, and I am so happy to have it. Next up, we picked up Palma, a very interesting Pokemon to me. It gives me another Pokemon over the base speed of 100, sitting at 105 base speed, and it also has a respectable attack stat of 115. It can hit harder though due to its Iron Fist ability, boosting the power of its punching moves, which it does get a lot of. Its other abilities in Volt Absorb and Natural Cure can also have interesting applications. A fast Encore user can actually be a very useful thing to have to stop setup threats. Needless to say, Revival Blessing is banned. The final tier 3 pick was Vaporeon, a staple of Draft League at this point. I wanted to pick up a bulkier water type for the team because I wasn't comfortable having Crawdaunt as the only one. Admittedly, Vaporeon isn't the most exciting pick out there, but sometimes you just need a tried and true good Pokemon. There could be some interesting setup sets now that it has access to Calm Mind and Stored Power, but I'm mainly looking for a bulky Pokemon that can phase with Roar, gain momentum with Flip Turn, and support the team with Wish Passing into stuff like Goodra and Mesprit. Dipping into tier 4 for the first time, we snagged Bramblegast. Honestly, I think this Pokemon is slightly underrated. I always see it put in work in Standard Draft League, so I think it could be a great piece in our low tier squad. First of all, it gets me a good Rapid Spinner because opposing Ghost types won't want to switch in to Spin Block me, of course. It's also a decently good spiker due to its base 90 speed stat. But one of the most annoying features of Bramblegast is its access to the move Strength Sap. Leech Seed plus Disable can also be really annoying, and its Wind Rider ability makes it so it can't get hit by Hurricane or Heat Wave, which can come in clutch. Our next tier 4 pick is Gligar, and quite frankly, I'm not sure how I feel about it. If you didn't know, it lost Roost, which hinders its longevity by a lot. It basically plays like a completely different Pokemon now. It's no longer going to be that annoying wall that can be around forever, but it's more so of a pivot Pokemon that can set up hazards and disrupt with Toxic, Knockoff, and Taunt. It is a ground type, which we lacked so far. Maybe I waited a bit too much to get a ground type, but I wasn't really a major fan of any of the ground types in tier 4, so I think Gligar is an okay pick. The final tier 4 pick is Typhlosion. This was originally Magmortar, which I think I prefer as a standalone Pokemon, but Typhlosion has a nice 100 speed tier, which I felt was crucial to hit as well, and Flash Fire as an ability making it immune to fire types could also be helpful. Its best set is probably Choice Scarf Eruption, so let's see how Typhlosion fares on this team. I haven't mentioned it before, but the Tera ruling for this league is only tier 5 Pokemon are able to terrestrialize, and each coach has to pick 2 tier 5 Pokemon, so our final 2 team members are going to be our Tera captains. When looking at the tier, I felt like Muck was the best tier 5 Pokemon around. It's not really a great Tera captain to be honest, but it is just a very reliable Pokemon that looked much better than some of the other options in tier 5. It gives me a good grounded poison type, which is always nice to have, and has a good HP stat at 105. Its base 100 special defense stat makes it a very capable Assault Vest user, as it also has a deep move pool. Poison Touch ability with Poison Jab is so annoying to switch into as long as you aren't a Steel type. It also has Knockoff, Memento, Toxic Spikes, and Haze to provide support for the rest of the team. Its Tera typings are Poison, Ground, and Grass, but honestly, I can't see myself tearing this Pokemon that often. Our final pick of the draft and our second tier 5 Pokemon is the one I think I will be tearing most weeks, and that is Carbink. Carbink has monstrous defense stats at base 150 each. It is true it has pretty bad offensive stats, but thanks to the move Body Press, we are able to hit incoming Steel types super hard. It can set up with Calm Mind and Iron Defense sets, so that is something to consider. It has access to Spikes and Stealth Rocks, Dual Screens, and Trick Room. The Terry typings on it are Fairy, Water, and Fighting to really boost those body presses. And that is the team. I am very happy with how the team turned out. It's probably not the best team around, but I definitely think it has the pieces capable of putting on a strong performance. Let me know what you think about the team in the comment section down below, and I will see you all in week 1.